Good morning. Who's ready for a birthday party? I'm Reverend Jessica. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the lead minister of this congregation. Welcome to Whiteberry Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a community of youth, adults, and children of many diverse theologies, held together by covenant, not creed. Together we share the values of courage, reverence, and compassion. May you know deep welcome and belonging in this place. To share a request for today's meditation, please place it in the chat box if you're watching online before the opening hymn, or add it to our meditation bowl that is found in the Soulwork Center. We have a special welcome this morning. Our new Director of Music Ministries, Rack, is here this morning. Welcome, Rack. We're so glad you are here, and we look forward to giving you a warm White Bear welcome. And if you want to be part of that warm White Bear welcome, that's 3 W's, there is a choir season kickoff and welcome gathering for Rack this Wednesday. Anyone interested in checking out the choir or returning to the choir is welcome. Bring a potluck item this Wednesday, 6 p.m. in the social hall, and we will welcome them. Thanks for joining us, Rack. And we also welcome any visitors that are visiting us this morning. Today you are in for a treat, a literal treat. It is our annual all-church birthday party, and by annual, I mean first ever. But hopefully will become an annual tradition. Thank you very much to Virginia Podobinski for the beautiful decorations. Thank you to all of the cake bakers, and I will give you instructions at the end, but you have to sit through the whole service before you get cake. And for those who are watching online, let's give them a wave and say, we miss you, we love you, and we send you lots of love. And for those in the room, as I said, we will have social hour after the service, and we just give you a warm welcome. Welcome to this place. Welcome to this morning together. What a beautiful, resplendent summer morning it is. Welcome to this church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place.
On June 16th, 1950, on a naval air station in Opelika, Florida, this body of mine took its first breath. Within seconds, air replaced amniotic fluid, triggering a seamless shift from placental circulation to its own, all by itself. I am now 74 years past that particular transition, and this body has continued to change all on its own. It has added more mass, though I resisted for years by limiting my diet, my mother always said, to soda crackers and the salt I licked off of radishes. Without my permission, my brain dumped a whole bunch of neurons it apparently decided it didn't need, and added pavement to the footpaths that were most often used. Not a moment too soon, it developed my brain's crystal ball, otherwise known as the prefrontal cortex, that works to predict the future and plan executive functions. Why that takes so long, I will never know. It brought me 4 decades of fertility, literally 10 times more than I needed. Though I look back on it with some fondness, I miss it not at all. Over time, my hair has turned from invisible fuzz to blonde to shades of gray. My bones have thinned and my spine has compressed, leaving me 2 inches shorter than my personal pinnacle of 5'4". My eyelashes have disappeared and my skin on my hands is now so translucent my grandchildren poke at my veins in wonder. I look like the grandmother I am. At Target, taller people are invariably willing to help retrieve items from shelves I cannot reach. At checkout, the man in front of me offers to lift the 12 packs of soda from the bottom of my cart onto the counter. And the woman packing my groceries offers to spread out my half gallons of soy milk into multiple bags to lighten the load. I tell them, I'm stronger than I look. And I am. To remind my bones they are needed for the long haul, I have been lifting weights for the past 25 years, and heavier things for even longer. I have carried children most of my life. As the oldest girl in a family of 9, I carried my siblings for years before carrying my own children in my body and on my shoulders and in my arms. Now my grandchildren have dibs on my energy at least 3 days a week. Even when we are apart, all of these children, whether age 5 or 45, weigh on my heart. For over 30 years, I carried the burdens of demanding work in the nonprofit world, and at times it was so heavy I didn't know if I could bear it another day. In the 50s, I added part-time grad school to my schedule in hopes of either becoming better at my job or having better options if I had to leave. Though it was hard, and I was almost always the oldest person in the room, including my teachers, it was satisfying and rewarding in the way that doing the right thing at the right time can be. Like many of you, I have simultaneously worked and cared for children, an ailing spouse, and parents reaching the end of their lives, catching a glimpse of that time of life when we at last lay all burdens down, even those we love the most. I likely have another 20 years or so before that time, and I expect that transition to be as miraculous as the one that brought me here. Until then, I continue to rise each morning and lift upon my shoulder my little corner of the world. In return, I receive all the gifts of my time and place in history, past and present. My father playing his accordion as my sister Linda and I polkaed up and down the living room. My mother's bread, fresh from the oven. My grandparents' farmhouse decorated with paint-by-number pictures and DeKalb Corn Awards. Ray Charles live with the Rayettes singing My Funny Valentine. Double stuffed Oreos. Anyone wearing a bow tie. Children's drawings on my refrigerator. And reading Where the Wild Things Are Alive for the 500th time to whatever child is current resident of my lap. I light the chalice today for a fulsome life, for all that gives it meaning and all that brings us joy. Please join me in the opening words, which are not in your program, but are up here. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
You all know these hymns better than I do, so thank you for your support and understanding as I lead you through this first one, number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Now is the time where anyone young or young at heart can come down for our story. Come on down in front and have a seat. And today I'm going to tell you this wonderful story about a young girl who was searching. You can come on down, yeah, great. Who was searching for a porpoise. Now, I don't know the difference between a porpoise and a dolphin, but we're going to call this a porpoise. No, my story's about a porpoise, Jack. Jack's saying that the service today is about aging and purpose. I thought it was porpoises. My whole homily is about porpoises. I guess we'll make it work. So hello, everyone. So our story today is about a girl named Amira. And all she wanted for her birthday was a porpoise of her very own. Do any of you have porpoises? No? So she wished and she hoped and she dreamed of a porpoise. Maybe some of you had this where you were wishing for something for your birthday. And she asked her parents and her grandparents, and she told all her friends at school that she was getting a porpoise for her birthday. Now, living in Minnesota, one might ask, where would one house such an animal? But remember what Gloria said about executive functioning and that frontal cortex? It wasn't formed yet. So her birthday came and went, and guess what? No porpoise. She was disappointed, and she wanted answers. So she asked her parents, and they said, "Oh, Amira, we couldn't get you a porpoise. That's something you need to seek out for yourself." And she looked at her parents and said, "I didn't say a porpoise. I said a porpoise." And like the sea mammal, apparently it's smaller than a dolphin. Maybe this small. And her parents looked at each other and said, "Whoops, but guess what? No wild animals for your birthday." Sad. So she asked her grandparents, and they said, "Oh, Amira, we can't get you a porpoise. You have to figure out your own purpose when you're older, and sometimes adults don't even know their purpose." How many of you have a purpose in progress? And at this point, Amira was getting annoyed. Do you all ever get annoyed at adults? Yeah. They're kind of frustrating sometimes. Oh, I hear some annoyance when we're told to clean our room. It is annoying, yeah. Let me tell you, when you get an adult and nobody tells you and you just notice and you still have to clean it, it's even more annoying. So her grandparents said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we misheard you, but we wouldn't have bought you a porpoise anyway. They belong in the wild, in the ocean," which is very far from here. Now Amira was fuming mad. Why had no one understood her when she wanted a porpoise? And she thought about it and said, "And why won't the adults give me a purpose either while they're at it? What was a purpose anyways?" So she set about to find a purpose. And over the next several years, she asked a lot of adults she knew and trusted. And some of the adults said, "I don't know, that's a really hard thing to explain." But some of the adults gave her good advice, like, pay attention to the things you care about and how you use those to make a difference in the world. You might not have a clear idea yet, but you can make a difference, and your purpose will change and grow. How many of you have had your purpose change and grow over time? Just a little bit. We're not fixed beings. And she thought about all the things that she liked to do, like learning new things and teaching those to kids. She thought about her heroes, people that were living in ways she wanted to copy, and she thought about about the ways she wanted to change the world. And that's how she came up with her purpose. And guess what her purpose was? Taking care of wild animals. And so for all the ways that we find our purpose as young beings, as aging beings, on the whole spectrum of life, we give thanks. Let's sing our younger beings out to their Sunday activity now, and some of our other beings to their seats.
Please join me for a moment of prayer or meditation. Gathered as we are here together in this room, about 150 people with 37 households on Zoom. Spirit of life and love, spirit of mystery and wonder, we gather together today as the seasons turn and the cycles of life turn all around us, all of us in our own way dealing with emotions and surprises, patterns and irregularities of our lives as we live them. In the cosmic sense, we know our lives are short, and yet we cling to life, and it is the remarkable moments that we remember, the good and the bad, the happy and the sad. Right now, as we inhabit together the space of this room and of this Zoom room, we step back for a moment. We look at our lives from the balcony view, seeking to find a bigger picture. We understand the topography of our lives, the hills and the valleys, the mountains we must climb, and the rivers we must ford. This journey we are on calls us deeper into our connection with nature, of which we are a part, and it also calls us deeper into community with each other, as we make covenants and promises to each other toward a better and kinder living. The many and various paths we are on converge this morning, at this moment, and in this space. Let's pause as we dwell together in this space. We know we can learn from each other and support each other as we leave this space later today on our separate ways. And in that spirit, we lift up the prayers and concerns of this congregation. We celebrate the first grand baby for Diana Smith and family. Charles Meyer Smith was born on Sunday, August 11th, to Aaron and Anna. Everyone, mother and child, are well. We pray for Terry Houle as she lost her younger sister, Sandy, this past week, after nearly a year of cancer treatments. Prayers of comfort and strength in this heartbreaking loss. And from this moment of stillness and quiet, we speak out loud the names of those we are holding in our hearts and minds this morning. Holding gratitude for this moment of coming together, celebrating the feelings of awe and wonder that arise in beloved community. We ask for help because we know we cannot do it alone. May it be so, and make it so. Amen. Please remain seated for our hymn, number 352, Find a Stillness.
My name is Kat Formby, and I use any pronouns. I see aging as fundamentally a series of transitions as we move through the seasons of life. I'm approaching one of the bigger transitions in my life as I look to going to college and moving out of my family home. As I approach this transition, I've found myself reflecting quite a bit on my own childhood. I've always been a bit of a planner. As long as I can remember, I've had a long-term plan in place for each step of my life. I was, to be honest, kind of impatient about getting these long-term plans in motion. I always wanted to grow up. Eventually, I found that there's not much benefit to only looking to the future. You can miss the current moment. It's also kind of stressful. For me, these long-term plans came with strict timelines and strict expectations, but life rarely works out exactly how you expect it to. On the other side, for the last year or so, I found myself being unexpectedly nostalgic about my childhood. I found that I was clinging a bit during my senior year of high school. I spent my junior year in Germany on a study abroad program. My freshman year was entirely online due to COVID, so I really only got to experience 2 years of high school. Throughout my senior year, I had this sensation that I just woke up one day and suddenly was very close to this point of major transition. And I, quite novelly, wanted things to slow down a little bit. Change is hard, especially for me, but I think one of the most important things about getting older is learning to embrace that change. I believe that as we move through the seasons of life, if we look too much to the future or dwell too much on the past, we lose the ability to be present in the moment. I found that for me, it's been unproductive to linger on the things that I can't change from the past, rather than making the best of where I am in this current moment. Change, as scary as it is often a beautiful thing. This new season of life that I am entering is, for all that I wanted to get there faster, quite scary now that it's so close. I'm doing my best to enjoy where I am right now. I'm spending more time doing what makes me happy, and I'm spending more time with the people that make me happy. I'm also trying my best, though not always succeeding, to not stress so much about the future. As I move forward through this transition, I hope to be a little bit better about living in the moment. Thank you.
Just a few announcements before we take this morning's offering. It's mainly about the next 4 Sundays. They're all very exciting. We have a play-focused service next week, and it is only in person, so no Zoom that week. Come with an open mind and a playful spirit, all ages interactive. The week after that, Labor Day weekend, we have a guest preacher, Karen Herring, who is from here, was ordained by this very congregation, and she's sharing a beautiful message with us that day. The week after that, September 8th, is our water communion. So please bring some water with you, whether that's water from travels you've taken, water from your tap or your garden hose, water that is special to you, and we will commingle those waters together in a special ritual. And the week after that is September 15th, we have Backpack Blessing. So whether you're starting a new school year or a new job or a new chapter in life, please bring a bag or a backpack and we will bless it and you. 2 services that day, thank you. 9 and 11 starts that day, September 15th, on the 15th. And now, our offering. Each week, we practice gratitude and support in the form of giving to our offering plate. The gifts collected today will go to support the mission of this congregation to grow our souls and serve the world. There are a couple ways you can give today. You can use the text to give feature. The number is in the order of service. You can give on the website, or you can place a cash or check in the basket as it comes by you. However you choose to give, thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together. The offering will now be gratefully collected.
Happy birthday. I'm Cheryl Riley. My pronouns are she, her. When I turned 75 this year, I remember how I once thought that 25 was really old. And Kat, I understand. I just wanted to be 18 and away from the claustrophobic small town in the middle of the cornfields of Illinois. And then suddenly in a wink, I was 75. Where did the years go? Some of you here can relate to this. For others, 75 sounds really ancient, doesn't it? When your life is more behind you than in front of you, you tend to reflect on what it has all meant and how do you finish this journey called life. By nature, I too am a planner and have spent most of my life looking forward, planning the next day, event, trip, work assignment. What I've realized that I've missed a lot of in-the-moment moments doing this. And then something happened in June that rocked my world and changed my perspective on life. My youngest baby sister crossed a highway and was killed when she was hit by a truck. The fragility of life hit me squarely in the face. She was 11 years younger than me, and she was not supposed to go first. Suddenly, many of the things I worried about or got upset over took on a different meaning. How important really were they? If I worried about how the house might look or the food taste for the company coming, suddenly I would think, is anyone going to die over this? Now, I did make sure the food was safe. But really, how important is it? Friends will enjoy our home and food and be grateful for the invite. That traffic jam that will make us late for an appointment, we'll get there and hopefully safely. My fretting and complaining won't make any difference. When I have thought about what it means to be 75, what I have come to understand more fully is that life is precious, very precious. And we should celebrate each and every day. Has it been a tough day? Then celebrate how we face the challenges or the pain. A good day? Celebrate what has made it so and the part we've played. And celebrate with the lives of others. Are we waiting to take a trip, make a donation, visit a family member, or have lunch with a friend? So much of life, I think, is spent wishing or waiting for the next happening. Well, as Kat even said, the happening and the moment is now. We may not have another chance. Fortunately, my sister had been living her retirement dream when her life was cut short. If we're fortunate to live into our senior years, then we have an opportunity to share our collective experience and the wisdom we've gained. It is our time to give back and to mentor. We have become the elders, and it's a very important role. In July, Jim and I traveled to Maryland to visit his 99, almost 100-year-old father. We love visiting with this positive, fully active, and completely tuned-in man who faces each day with gratitude. I'd like to conclude with John Cooper's philosophy on living a long life. Number one, keep a song in your heart. Number two, take really good care of your health. And number three, eat barbecue. Thank you.
Well, Good morning. I'm Deborah DeBrew, she, her pronouns. And after listening to Kat and Cheryl, I'm done. When I was asked to do this, my first thought was, are you kidding? I'm not old. Why are you asking me? But some changes you can't, escape. I'm hesitant to speak on this topic. The traditional view, at least in my mind, of aging is changing hair and bones and skin and the aging process. Kat, thank you for proving me wrong. But I'm a rookie at this, at least I feel like I am. I'm in my early 60s. My body is performing as well as I can ever expect it to. And as far as I know, my mind, although a little slower, is still healthy. So I'm not going to pretend that I know what those of you who are more senior than me have known and experienced. Instead, I thought I would speak about my preparation for my autumnal years, should I be privileged to experience them. Although I do not self-identify as a Buddhist, I find value in taking lessons from the Buddhist tradition. And I'll speak about two of them this morning, and then I'll go home and I'll practice. Practicing acceptance. A central tenet of Buddhism is that all things change. Nothing remains constant. This too shall pass. The joy I'm feeling will pass. The pain of my stubbed toe will pass. My life will pass. Accepting that law of the universe requires practice on my part. Now, to be clear, I'm not afraid of death. How I die might be a different issue, but I'm not afraid of death. So I practice acceptance, so I will shine my light as brightly as I can today. This practice might help me to accept the losses to my body and my mind that I might experience as I ripen. The Dalai Lama reminds people, you might be dead tomorrow. This does not depress me or upset me. It serves to focus my attention on the gift of today. Some of you might have noticed that I wear this same piece of decoration almost every time you see me. It's a little image of a tree. I call it the tree of life. Almost 4 decades ago, I came moments from death, this close. A few years ago, I turned that traumatic day into a blessing, a gift to myself. I look at that day every day. Now, every morning, I do a 10-second ritual as I put this little pendant around my neck. I silently remind myself that if I had died back then, I wouldn't be here to experience today. I wouldn't be standing here, blessed with a life story that covers many decades of ups and downs and awe and wonder. This day is truly a gift, not a given. And I'm filled with deep gratitude. That's what that ritual does for me. So gratitude. For me, gratitude is not only a feeling, but a practice. Each evening, I write in my journal about at least one thing that I'm grateful for. This is not always easy. It's for those difficult days when I'm not feeling particularly grateful that it's most important for me to practice gratitude. Even at the end of my most difficult days, I will sit until I can draw up gratitude about something, even if only as simple as a blue sky or the laugh of a friend. Here's the thing, though. I didn't see this coming. After practicing this for many years, I now spontaneously look for something to be grateful for multiple times a day. Who knew? And this has really changed my life. It's my hope that by training myself to be grateful for what I have now, not focusing on what I have lost, I will not focus on the things and abilities that I might lose as I change, as I age. So practice. That seems to be almost a mantra to me now. I'm in training, so to speak, to see or to approach the world in specific ways in order to make each of my days fulfilling. This, as it turns out, is readying myself, I think, for my senior years, should I experience them. Gosh, I hope it works. Thank you.
I know that we are anxious to get to the cake. But in the meantime, I'm going to, please, bear with me. I'm going to share with you 10 truths about aging that I have learned during my previous career as an occupational therapist, that I've learned from aging family members, and that I've learned from being a minister. Number 1. For some people, the thought of being old is a hard pill to swallow. When my grandmother died at the age of 86, it was only that year that she went to the senior center for the first time. For the last 5 years of her life, we would suggest the senior center for some social interaction, to take some classes, and she would say, "Why do I want to go hang out with old people?" For some people, they never identify as old. And what that can lead to is often isolation from activities that other people in their age group are doing. Which leads to my second point. Getting old can be incredibly lonely. The isolation is real whether you are partnered or not, but it's especially hard for either those who are single, those who don't have children, or who might be estranged from their children or grandchildren. And it is hard and lonely for those whose partner may have dementia or Alzheimer's, who are carrying the task of caring for this person. When your partner does have dementia or cognitive decline, the ways that they supported you in life, they're not able to anymore. And so your roles shift, and that can be incredibly lonely. So loneliness is a part of aging. Number 3, that as you age, you are at an increased risk of depression. Depression is more common in people who are losing their independence, and this can be for any age. And if there's a decrease in one's independence, you are at a greater risk of depression. This is real and something that families often don't talk about, but should be named and normalized. And this, what you're doing right this moment, maybe some of you were like, okay, I don't usually come in the summer, but I'm coming because this is an issue that matters to me. This is breaking out of those isolated places that we reside in, going towards community, even if you do or don't have a piece of cake afterwards. But showing up in services, showing up and stating your needs, meeting with Reverend Jack and saying, hey, you know what, I have a hospital stay coming up. Could someone bring me some soup? Or hey, I need a ride. Letting our pastoral care community do the work of helping to hold you in this process is it's hard, it's uncomfortable, right? But it's part of letting this community help hold you. And remember, they are there to visit if you're homebound, to listen. The 4th truth about aging is that the grief is real. We've heard people name it this morning, the grief that comes with change. And there was a particular grief, I feel like someone should develop a name for it. There's a particular grief when you have reached your later years of losing everyone around you, of feeling like you're one of the last ones left. This might be the last person living of your siblings, of your family, of your high school class. This is real, and it's a very hard truth for others to even understand until they get there. But that sense of loss and ongoing loss is true. The 5th truth, and in case you're not getting the gist here, I'm naming all the hard truths, whereas everyone else was naming a lot of like the joyous parts, but we can hold both, right? So the 5th truth about aging is that sometimes it's frustrating and hard and results in a sense of powerlessness. There is worth in naming the hard, the difficult. There is worth in normalizing the wide range of what it means to live in this world with fragile bodies and hearts. And so when you're having a piece of cake with someone after the service, it's okay to name what's hard right now, and that other person doesn't have to fix it. They can just listen. The 6th truth about aging is that Hollywood tells us that as people age, if they were super grumpy and crotchety, they will have this watershed moment all of a sudden and become someone really nice. That is not true. Most people, providing they don't have a diagnosis or of something that alters their personality, most people die as they aged. So whatever their personality was in life, sometimes it can get a bit more magnified as they age. And sometimes I think that can be surprising for us because Hollywood continues to feed us a bit of mistruths with this, a bit of myths around this. The 7th truth I have learned about aging is that having a will is not good enough. You need to have a living trust. If you just have a will, your estate will go into probate, which will be a huge pain for whoever you are leaving your estate to, so please get a living trust. The 8th truth I have learned about aging is that it's really hard for people who've been independent their whole entire lives to have their well-meaning family members tell them what they think they should be doing. Or ask them if they've been drinking enough water. Or speak to them as if they are children again. Does this resonate with anyone here? Yeah. The 9th truth I have learned about aging is that capitalism dictates how we live and how we die in this country. that people without strong advocates and without resources, especially financial resources, are often treated very poorly. They're often pushed to have services they don't need so that facilities can get more money. And letting people die in ways that honor their inherent worth and dignity is not something that we as a country do well, unless someone has fierce advocates and resources on their side. So be very clear with your friends and your family about what your wishes are should you become incapacitated, so they know. And this is for every single person in this room, no matter what your age is. And last but not least, the 10th truth I've learned about aging is the importance of respect and care. And oftentimes, respect shows up in accessibility, like using microphones when we talk in the sanctuary, like making sure people know where ramp entryways are so that people can enter the church and access things in the church. For example, we have an elevator over here. People may not know that unless they were on the tour. And also offering rides to people at church. If someone says, you know what, I'm not driving that much anymore, saying, do you need help getting a ride? We can help get you a ride. And it's also not automatically assuming that because someone has gray hair or looks elderly that they need help, but making sure they have access to a seat at the table. And when they get to that table, making sure that their voices are heard and their opinions are solicited. So these aren't all of the truths about aging, right? There are many. This is just 10 of them. But I want to stress on you the great privilege it is to be let into people's lives, into your lives, from birth to death and everything in between. For you to share your thoughts and your feelings with me is a gift that I do not take lightly. And I'm going to speak for Reverend Jack here that he feels the same. And I hope you all feel the same when people let you in on what is birth to death and everything in between for them. I hope we have more conversations about this. It takes courage to name the truths of aging. It takes courage to name the truths of living in these fragile, beautiful bodies. May we take deep care of each other in this living and dying. May we turn towards love with each other again and again for all of our days, however many they are. Amen, and blessed be.
Times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance, a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Let it follow word to me. Reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do.
is a dance we do with each other. How wonderful it is to be together in person and online doing this dance. As you go forth from this place out into your week, may you reflect on what aging means to you, what aging is asking of you, what living is asking of you, what saying yes to life is asking of you and asking of those people around you. May it come from a place of love and joy. Now, I'm going to give you instructions, so don't start moving yet. There are tables out in the atrium and in the social hall. I think the atrium is January through April. And in the social hall are the rest of the months. So you are to go find your table with your birth month, have a piece of cake, meet other people at that table who have the same birth month. Introduce yourself. Community building here. There is a table in the social hall with gluten-free and vegan cakes as well, but you are still invited to go to your birth month table and meet other people born in your month. Special shout out to those born in August. Exactly. And once we all get at our tables, we're going to do a big round of happy birthday that I will lead from the microphone in the social hall. So will you turn and greet your neighbor and invite them to the birthday party?